Over thousands of years during the Ice Age, the weather changed from colder to warmer and back again. During colder periods, the edge of ice moved very slowly. It was like a cold, thick syrup that covered much of Wisconsin. During warmer periods, the glaciers melted back. How did the Ice Age reshape Wisconsin? About a million years ago, the weather was warmer than it is today. Then the climate grew colder. To the north of Wisconsin, more snow fell in the long winters than melted during the short summers. The snow piled deeper and deeper. The lower layers of snow turned into ice that got thicker and thicker, more than a mile thick in some places. This thick ice is known as glaciers. The glaciers slowly flowed south. They scraped down the highest places on the landscape. Glaciers scraped away the rock beneath them and picked up large amounts of sand and rock. Glaciers carried this mix with them as they moved. The weather grew warmer. The ice melted. The edges of the glaciers melted back. This happened over and over again. Finally, the weather warmed permanently. Moraines showed how far glaciers moved and stayed over time. The last glacier's melting ice dumped its load of rock, silt, and clay on the land. This mix of ice, sand, and rocks melted out and is called till. It filled in the lowest spots in the landscape. The melting and dumping created the gently rolling landscape that forms much of the glaciated area of Wisconsin that we see today. You'll notice those glacial features on the maps on the next page. How do glacial features appear on maps? The maps on this page show how glaciers reshaped the land and waterways in and around Wisconsin. Glaciers also created the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes are so large that they are sometimes known as inland seas. The scraping away of rock beneath glaciers made the basins of what are now the lakes Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario even deeper. These great basins funneled the flow of ice into the lowest parts of the landscape. The southwestern part of Wisconsin and neighboring areas in Iowa, Illinois, and Minnesota were not covered by glaciers. This part of the region is known as the driftless area. The driftless area has no glacial deposits or drift. It has no glacial features and few lakes or wetlands. Instead, the driftless area has steep and twisting valleys and ridges that are several million years old. Glacial landforms today. What kinds of landforms that glaciers made can we still see today? Kettle, a scooped out area that was filled with a large block of ice. When the ice melted, it left a low area. If the area filled with water, it became a kettle lake. Esker, a long, snake-shaped hill formed of rounded sand and gravel. Eskers were formed by melting streams that flowed through tunnels at the base of a glacier. Moraine, a ridge or long hill that was once the side or edge of a glacier. Moraines show how far glaciers reached and stayed over some time. Glaciers formed moraines by pushing and dumping piles of many kinds of dirt and rocks. Kame, a steep rounded hill formed by streams of melting glacial ice pouring down a hole and depositing their load of dirt and rocks into a large pile. Drumlin, a long hill that looks something like an overturned canoe or a teardrop. Drumlins were formed in the same direction as the glaciers flowed. They often occur in groups known as drumlin fields.